Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Astroloween.
Oh, Jay's been like waiting to do this episode, you
Yes.
guys.
Y'all been waiting. I've been waiting. What's up, guys? I'm Jay,
I'm Christy.
and this is episode 8 of the Trading Floor podcast. Christy, what is going down?
What is going down is that Jay has not stopped talking about this whole astrology type of like astronomy type of trading. Like I feel like every podcast, like we're on number 8 now. Every one of them, he has somehow like secretly snuck this plug about this in. So at this point, we figure today is Halloween when you guys are watching this. If you're watching it later, it's
Happy
Halloween still. Yeah,
Halloween.
but it is Halloween. So we figured to make it kind of fun and to keep those of you who are going to be like, what are they doing talking about this topic? To kind of make it more of a funner vibe and but to really truly present to you people who really do use this like style trading and this
I don't
it
know
is
if
concept. It's like concept trading, I would
I've
say,
gone
right?
weird into it. I don't know if people specifically do it this way, but yeah, the
No,
concept, sure. The
we're
style
going to
that I
present
made is kind of
we'll
like,
present yeah, we're going to present to you guys a little bit of different styles of it and we'll talk more about it as we get into it, but
yeah.
in order to make it fun and a good vibe, we figured we would cluster it with Halloween. Why not? I am a sucker for holidays. I love a good theme, and Jay doesn't like them.
I
So
mean,
to make him have fun with this, I
it's
was
not
like,
that I
Jay.
don't like it. I was like, to
So
me,
Jay
it could
made the
be like
mistake.
it's like kind of just another day for me. But like, I do feel the vibe. I feel like
Well,
Christy's like all. It's like I love Halloween. He's like, you know what? I love
yeah, I
Halloween
was
too
like
now.
showing him off my little black cat. It's really hard to see back here, but I have a cute little black cat. And I was like, oh, I was trying to get spider webs. I have my little Edgar Allan Poe book, like my little skulls on. Like I am ready, right? So like I have a little witch hat that I'm gonna
I'm in
bust
a
out in a
shirt,
second. So Jay's in a shirt, but I was
but
like
there's something
super
behind me.
excited because Jay made a mistake of telling me that he doesn't do holidays like on his own, but if he like is like around people who like them, he picks up on those vibes. So he's like, I can like easily be like brought into holiday spirit if other people are like excited about it. So I was like, oh, like you got the right one here because I love holidays. So just so you guys
Yeah.
know, every holiday that comes up, you will have some sort of theme from me. And I figured what better way to make Jay get into this than to send him a costume that he has to
This
wear
box
for
has
this
been
episode.
sitting in my room for like a week now.
Just so you guys can take him that much more serious during this episode when he is presenting stuff. So I have sent him a costume. He has no clue what I sent him.
Nope.
And
As
whatever
you
it
can
is,
see, the
he
box
has to put on
is
and
not
wear
open.
for the entire episode. So those of you guys in podcast land, if you're just listening to it and you want to check back the video one to get a little peep of what he looks like in this costume, you can check out the video on YouTube. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do first. I think I want you to have to sit here through
All
the whole
right.
episode in this costume.
I guess I'll guess I'll do the unboxing in there too.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm a sexy little nurse.
No. I wish I had thought of that, but no, you are not a sexy little nurse.
I do think
Sorry.
my contract with my box of macaroni is also in here too.
Mm, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Jay, part of Jay working for me is to send him macaroni every month. So
But it's not
I did
mine.
I did cluster the macaroni in with that. But yeah,
Oh,
it's not the spirals this month, Jay. I apologize.
you could probably tell what I'm about to put on, guys.
Oh, they package is separate.
It's a gang.
It is. It is.
Is it a onesie?
It is a kangaroo onesie, and you have to put the little baby kangaroo in. I figured since you're an Outback outlaw, this was the perfect Halloween costume for you. And I also figured it's super easy for you to get in and out of quickly for the
Yeah, it's a
podcast.
nice jumpsuit.
But you have to wear the hood and everything. Like you have to wear it completely.
Well, give me a second, guys.
All right, let's see.
Not every day I put on a
No.
kangaroo onesie, so I'm excited.
Is it too I don't know your measurements. I was like, I don't know his measurements. Men's size? I don't know.
I'm a big guy. What can I say?
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
it's
give me a
perfect.
second.
Look
Give
at
me a
this.
second.
Where's your little pouch that the baby goes in?
It's right here.
Uh,
Yeah, it's right here. Give me a second.
Oh Lord. Oh Jay, I hope you go trick-or-treating like this. Oh, it's perfect. Oh, aren't you just the cutest little kangaroo there ever was? Oh my goodness.
I literally put my little baby in.
Look at it. Yeah, you gotta put your baby in. So you are a kanga dad today. Oh my goodness. Make sure we can see the baby though. No? Good. Yeah, that's
I think I almost ripped the. Oh, I have a
oh
tail. I have
Lord.
a tail that I sat on. It's awkward. Not used to one of those bad boys
That's
behind my butt.
you need a kangaroo tail. Oh, this looks good on you.
Well,
Can you lift your ears up a little bit so we can see the eyes? Get a good, yeah, look at that. That looks much better. You look more
love
like a
that.
kangaroo now, not a dog. Yeah, this is perfect. I'm loving the kanga baby.
This
Yeah,
is my baby. Oh my
yeah.
god. So
Oh,
excited.
that's so good.
I'm
All
so
right.
excited.
And now that Jay is gonna
Honestly, I didn't
sit here.
expect this. I probably should have. That was a good
It
present.
was I figured it's an easy one. I'll be ridiculous with you and I'll stick on my little witch hat, which does not fit over my headphones. So we're just gonna sit like this.
Well,
So we are Halloweened up. So let's get
even
into
the
the
baby
spirit.
has a little pouch. Oh my god.
Ooh. It's
Little
like one of
baby
those
pouch.
what are those things called where you like
I'm just gonna hold
put
the
them
baby
inside
up.
each other?
I'm gonna pretend like the baby is my microphone. I'll just talk
Yeah,
into
I expect
the
to see
baby
that
Kanga.
thing all the time. We're gonna have to name it. You're gonna have to name, and I want to see it on that
Um,
messy like dresser of yours every
yeah,
time.
that's what I was thinking. Like
Yeah,
some
he just sits there with the mess because you never ever clean that
what if I
ever
just
for
keep it
some
there
reason.
the entire time?
Yeah, there you go. That's good. He can sit there. I expect to see
It's,
him every single time.
oh, I'm sitting on my tail again. God, I need to get used to that bad boy.
All
All right.
right. Now that we're in the Halloween spirit, and hopefully you guys are completely distracted by this visual podcast, we can kind of talk a little bit about what we actually want to talk about. So we are going to seriously talk about this. It's not just a joke. Astrology is a real true thing when it comes to trading. There is a whole group of people who actually do trade a certain style. And there's a couple of ways they can do it. So Jay's going to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about this and introduce to you some of the stuff because he went hard
Well,
when we were looking at this. And he, like, when I talk about falling down a rabbit hole, Jay, like, went down the rabbit hole and found a lot of stuff.
yeah.
But some of it was trash and some of it was actually kind of cool. And we were like,
It was
that's
just a
not a
it was a
bad
kangaroo pouch that just never ended, Chris. It just kept falling in there.
idea. Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Jay. Let's get serious so we don't
So
waste people's time.
so basically, kind of just to give a rough definition, is astrology is basically numbers depending on angles of the planets. It's kind of the complicated version of it. You're determining the angles between Earth and other planets. You're also determining angles between planets of other planets. And so a general description is that astrology is the belief that the markets have a strong correlation between planetary movements, between retrogrades, and between lunar cycles. I'm not going to go into retrogrades because that's a whole nother topic for another situation, but I will talk about planetary movements and lunar cycles. And so, speaking of lunar cycles, is the moon is considered a planet in astrology. And basically certain planets represent, I'll say, certain things. And so the moon actually represents investment, which is why a lot of traders who do astrology focus on what the moon is doing because it makes a difference for that. And so everyone, to get into the kind of scientific reasons of why it is like that, I'll say that everybody's heard, I mean, Christy, you can kind of chime in. Everybody's heard that like most crimes happen under a full moon, or like and
So,
you can kind of as a nurse, you can almost like
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I don't want to say crimes because like
or just like
I don't know,
injuries or
but
excitements or like certain things like escalate during full moons.
yeah, so the hospitals would be crazy. So like there's always that running joke when you're in medical environment or whatever, if you, especially if you work in a hospital setting, which I did, and it was always like, oh no, like a full moon. Like if you
Well,
like
so
ended up realizing you driving to work and you're like, shit, a full moon. And you're like,
yeah.
you're like, should have slept more or something like that. Like maybe I'll get 2 coffees. It's one of those kind of things where you're like, the vibes are gonna be bad. So I don't know exactly what like the scientific thing is. There is some
I'll
stuff
tell you it, Chris.
there's some stuff that's been suggested, but the reality of it is, yeah, I mean, people act a little bit riskier, a little bit crazier during full moons. It definitely has an effect on like pregnancies and women and people going into labor more. Like there's all kinds of stuff that
Yeah.
happens. I'm assuming it has a lot to do with the amount of water we're made up of and gravitational forces, but I'll let Jay get into this. That would be my scientific thing, but Jay
Well,
actually knows the
so the main reason for this is the fact that how it works is at night, whenever the moon's out, the sun sends its rays to the moon, and the moon reflects onto the earth, almost like the moon is a magnifying glass, where it's getting all of the rays and it's reflecting back to the earth. And so, in a full moon, 100% of the sun's rays is reflecting perfectly onto the earth that the moon is able to give. And so, what that does, that it excites the ionosphere, which is like the outer side of the earth, and our brains can sense that change in delta, like a change in positive delta. And so that excites us like subconsciously. So it could be exciting in a bad way. Maybe it's like, oh, it's a good time to go rob a bank. No, I'm joking, but it could be like that, or it could just be excited about life. And then ultimately, the main thing is that if there's a full moon, people are more excited. If people are more excited, they're more willing to spend money. If they're more willing to spend money, businesses grow because of that, because they gain more profit. And because of that, economies do better, economies go up. So that's the general premise of how the moon affects technically investing. Because if it's a full moon, people are excited, that's going to generate positive income for the economy. And vice versa for a new moon, majority of the rays aren't being reflected from the moon to the earth, and so people don't feel as good. Um, they're not. They're sad. They're sad kangaroos. They're not happy kangaroos, and
energy
so
levels a little
yeah, and
lower.
so they're
Yeah.
more frugal with their money. They don't really want to spend. Businesses may not do as good, and it's not. This isn't 100% true, but it's a good probability that this does happen. So businesses might not do good during a new moon, and that could drive the economy down. And so it definitely this definitely affects a lot of crypto, I found, because there's a lot of Chinese stake in crypto, and Chinese like love the culture kind of astrology. So like they really love that kind of angle of it. So but it does affect the other markets too, I will say. So using that logic that a full moon economy can do good, and a new moon the economy can potentially do bad. The lunar cycle for astrology is, from what I found, is there's 4 phases that I really look into. You have your like waning and waxing moons or whatever, but I basically look at 4 things. I look at a full moon, then after a full moon, in between the full moon and the new moon is a third quarter moon. So you have full moon, third quarter, then a new moon happens, and then in between the new moon to full moon phase, you have a first quarter. So I look at 4 things. So like I said, the full moon, and then you have a new moon, third quarters in there. New moon to a full moon, first quarters in there. And so the idea is that a full moon to a new moon, it's better to look for buys. And then a new moon to a full moon, it's better to look for sells. And so, like, that was kind of my general assumption of the moons. And weirdly enough, it does correlate. And so, I'm going to get even into more detail. It's going to be a lot for y'all, but like, feel free to just pause it, slow it down, maybe write notes, because it gets crazier. Trust me. So,
So just a disclaimer, we are just telling you guys how they present it. We are not saying
yeah,
we're not presenting this as a full-on strategy to you. We're just educating you a little bit about how this is. This is just like a tip of the iceberg. If this
yes.
really does pique your interest for any
I can
reason,
whip my
definitely do
hand up.
your own research. We'll give you guys some links after this
Yeah.
that we'll link in the videos. But I just want to make sure you guys aren't like, oh, well, Christine J said to sell during, the waxing
No,
moon, or
no.
I like, no,
Definitely
you
test
don't
this
do
out
that.
for yourself. But
We were looking at it before, probably a year or so ago, and since then have kind of like peeked back every now and then at it to see like how has it actually played out over the last like year or so, and it's just interesting. Honestly, like we really did like set out to debunk this to like make
I
it like
know.
almost like a
I
joke.
did not want this to work. As an
And
engineer, I was like, I'm gonna debunk it to where
yeah,
it doesn't work. And the
because
deeper I got, the more confluences I created. I was like,
both
it
of us are
does.
very like factual, scientific, like data. I mean, if you guys know by now, like we like data, we like to see it. Like if you can't see it, then we don't believe it, kind of thing. So I mean, there is a lot of science to it, to astronomy and astrology when you're talking about those topics. So I mean, don't come at me, guys. Like if you're one of those people, we
Don't
know
come
it.
at me.
We know it. We know I'm not doubting your science
It's
behind it. It's
more
just applying it to the markets. And it's like, is there really proof that it does actually have that energy that these people are feeding off of and that
yeah.
excitement that Jay's talking about? And I don't, when we're seeing excitement, don't like message us and be like, I'm like so tired all the time during
It's
a full moon.
literally a full
We don't
moon and I'm drained. Well,
exhausted.
it's like
It's what he means by that is there's just these like energy vibes, the way they explain it. It's
it's
like
your
the
mentality.
vibration
Like you might be
that
tired,
you're
but during the
taking.
day, it's like you feel like doing more work than you normally
Yeah,
should,
you
or
might
like you're
even
just
just
in a
have
positive
like,
mood.
yeah, you might even be tired, but maybe you have more of like of an uneasy or anxious type of thing. But
Yeah,
there's just a vibration or energy that you are subconsciously picking up on, whether you realize it or not. And that's how they kind of explain it. And
yeah.
that's like where they're calling it like people are more excited during that time versus like when it's a new moon and you feel less excited. Like there's not as much energy coming off of the moon like that. But so we're going to show you guys like some examples. Jay will pull up a chart where you guys can actually just see like what the first half of the month where the moon is in a certain
Yeah.
cycle looks like, and then when it's like, fading off and what that would look like. So just so you can get an idea, this is again not a strategy, but just so you can see like we're not totally making this up. Like
Tradingview
there's
does have
stuff that do this.
Tradingview does have astrology indicators, which is pretty
Yeah, they
cool.
do, and they're free. So it's kind of, if you guys are really interested in or looking into playing around with it, or
I'm gonna show
think
y'all one of them that
want
like
to,
it's kind of a
yeah,
cool thing that it actually displays the moon phases for you, so you don't really have to like remember any of
yeah,
them.
you don't need to be like a scientist with this.
But
But go ahead.
before I get into that, I'll go into more moon things. Moon
Ooh,
things.
more moon things. All
So
right.
kind of a generic idea. Like I said, full moon to new moon, you're usually looking for a buy, and new moon to full moon, you're looking for a sell. So I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And then I fell even deeper. And so full moons are usually bullish most of the time, is what I found. And then the first quarter moons have a high tendency to produce dips. And remember that I'll go into more detail when I go over kind of like what I'd gone through in my testing. But that was kind of interesting how the first quarter moon always usually produces dips. Third quarter moon tends to be less influential, but new moons and full moons are always bullish on crypto markets. I don't know why they say always, because like I guarantee you there's times where it wasn't,
Yeah.
but I'll just assume it just means like a good probability. It was probably just clickbait, to be honest with you, but I'll say a good probability that the new moons and full moons are bullish in the crypto market. So
Yeah.
basically they're pivot points at that time.
Anytime you
um
see the always word, guys, just use that with a grain
yeah,
of
just
salt.
just assume like high probability,
High
but
probability, but they're saying always.
there's also certain things for the moon as well. I'm going even deeper, Chris.
Oh
If
god.
there if there was I've seen examples of a guy saying this, that if there was a whole moon phase of sell off where like the entire month it sold off, then you can expect that the first week whenever a full moon happens that you could look for buys. And so like that's a general assumption that you could do. And then first quarter moons are also usually the tops in bull markets, with a correction happening after a day or so, which is kind of interesting because I haven't looked that into detail about that. I was more worried about the first quarter dips, and so that was pretty cool. But dips usually occur in between the phases. So in between a full moon and third quarter, you can see a dip. In between third quarter new moon, first quarter, and first quarter full moon, you can always usually see a dip where the actual phases themselves are like pivot points. And last but not least, the last moon thing. So for now is apogee and perigee. So what that means, apogee is when the moon's orbit is from its furthest point away from Earth. Because the moon doesn't equally rotate around Earth. It has a furthest point, it has a closest point. So the furthest point is called apogee, and the closest point is called perigee. And so whenever you have a moon phase during an apogee or perigee, then that could produce a really big move that day normally. I like that, Chris.
It's a lot to go
It is a
through.
lot.
You guys, like I said, you don't need to remember all of this unless you're really truly interested. But if you are, there is definitely a lot of information out there. So just kind of follow Jay along. He's kind of dropping a bunch of different versions of it on you, like when he's talking, and you can kind of take each one of them if you wanted to go more specific into one of them or the other, or you could take them all and kind of like
Yeah.
jumble them up. But just he's definitely going to information overload you a little bit while he's talking, and it's so hard to take him serious because he looks like a kangaroo. But I'm gonna let him kind of keep going into his moon phases that he wants to go through.
Yeah, so actually what I'll do now is very quickly share my screen.
Okay.
And so
We can show you guys some examples. So if you're listening in podcast land, sorry again, but just check out the video and
yeah.
he can show you. So we'll just show you guys like the moon. We can show you like one of the indicators. They're all free. Like these aren't ours. We definitely don't know
Yeah,
these
so
people. We
something
don't sponsor
interesting,
them.
we're actually going to be going over this soon, and there's actually a website for this. But if you don't really want to look at a website all the time, if you search moon phases, I can't even type. That's pretty sick. It actually has something in Tradingview already for you. And so if you go into the settings, it's kind of opposite. But let's make the full moon super bright and the new moon kind of dark because it's sad. So we're very sad. Very sad, Chris. So as you can see here, whenever you get a new moon, it takes a little bit of time, but it ultimately goes up a little bit. And then I'm a full moon, I'm sorry. And then a new moon, it goes down. So like it's nothing perfect, but it's kind of an interesting bias that people have. As you can see here, it literally for a full moon, I mean it should have tanked down, but
Jay's showing you
that's
guys this
why.
on the just to point out, this is the 4 hour. So this is like, each candle's
Yeah.
4 hours. So this is over
So I
weeks.
mean, yeah, I want to show y'all everything because I could have literally showed y'all this part where you get a full moon and it ends up going up, and this new moon starts this complete downtrend. But like you see a new moon to full moon, you sell. Like it's not always going to be that case. Like
Yeah.
now it's going like this too, and then as you can see, a full moon it tanks up,
Eh,
a new moon it goes down, full moon it doesn't go up, but then a new moon to full moon it tanks down again. So like there are instances where this does work, and it's not all the time, but it's a high probability that you can use for yourself.
Weirdly enough, like when we were looking at it, the way we were looking at it was like looking at it almost like how we had talked to you guys before about concepts, where it was like using this as
Yeah,
the background concepts or like an overall trend. So it'd be like, hey, what phase are we in? We should only be looking for buy opportunities, or we should only be looking like for these
yeah.
couple of weeks, or we should only be looking for sell opportunities according to like the moon phase. When we did that and like paired it, like honestly, we didn't. It was like what 60s? I
Yeah,
think we
so
had like some
I
mid
think
60% win rates, and I
I
was like,
don't remember where the data
yeah,
went, to be honest with you. It's been a while, but I do remember throwing on like a fractal channel or something just for a breakout, just so like we
yeah.
can get out of the consolidation. And it did pretty decent, but it was a lot. There's a lot
Yeah,
more to it
this
than
is
that. Like,
definitely just a concept. Like I said, like you're gonna have to do
yeah,
some more analysis with it and all that, but like kind of using it as an idea of like, well, maybe I should only look for buys yourselves.
yeah,
That kind of worked the best for us, but it is just kind of interesting. You guys can see, like, obviously consolidation is always a problem with any indicator, even moon phases. Banks are banks and they're gonna go where they want to go, regardless of what the moon's doing. But as far as like you can see, there's some really massive trends you can get and like
yeah.
crazy rewards, which is like really bizarre because I was like, how is this even possible? But yeah, apparently there is an indicator on TradingView. It's free. We are not affiliated. We don't know those people. It's
No,
not ours,
no, it's
but we're
it's
just
it's
showing
actually
it to you guys.
TradingView's indicator. It's like TradingView's
Yeah.
official moon phase
The
indicator.
TradingView even acknowledges this is a real thing for you
Yeah.
haters. This is a real thing. TradingView says
So
so.
So kind of going into more, I do remember that whenever I was looking to try and invalidate this, there was another kind of side of things, and it was the planetary movements, what I was talking about. And so you still add like the lunar cycle deals with the moon, but also the planetary events are also or the moon is considered a planet, so that goes into that as well. So to give y'all an idea, I split it between three things. And so I was testing it between, okay, what if I just look for buys between the full moon and the new moon? And what if I just look for sells between the new moon and full moon? I throw on like a fractal or some whatever, just to give me like confirmation, like you should enter here. So that was kind of my like default way of going about it. And then I said, okay, there's more to this because there's lunar calendars out there, and in these lunar calendars, we'll actually link the one that I use down below that y'all can check it out. Not only does it show whenever like a full moon, new moon, first quarter, third quarter happens, it also shows you what zodiac sign the moon is in at that point. And what that means is like certain zodiac signs move into like the moon. And so the moon signs can be bullish and can be bearish. Like zodiac signs for the moon can be bullish or bearish. And basically the main bullish ones are Aries, Taurus, shout out Christy, Leo, and Scorpio. And the main signs that are bearish for the moon is Gemini and Cancer. Shout out me. And then there's also signs that like Virgo, Libra, Aquarius, and Pisces that kind of go for both. It's kind of like an in-between, undecided type of sign. And then as well as that, planets have bullish and bearish signs as well for them. And so bullish planets are the sun, it's Mars, Venus, Uranus, and Pluto, while the bearish ones are the moon, Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune. And so I use that to my advantage in the sense that it's like, okay, if the moon is, let's say, if it's a new moon, I'm looking for a sell. But now my next assumption is like, okay, is the moon, which is a bearish planet, in a bearish sign? I was like, well, if the moon is in Gemini and Cancer, which is also bearish, that's bearish, bearish, and then I'm in a new moon. So it's like I'm stacking confluences on top of each other. And then I added, okay, what if I do planets as well? I was like, what if the sun, which is bullish, is entering I don't know, Taurus, which is also bullish, and then we're in a full moon or third quarter phase. Well, I was like, well, I mean, everything's saying you could buy. And so I kind of went about that. And it was weird because I used forex pairs, and I'm pretty sure I was on the 1 hour. I was on the 4 hour. I just kind of pulled up the 4 hour there.
Yeah,
But
we were just showing you guys like an overall so you can see
yeah,
it.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but it would shock y'all that like
It
I was getting
it
where
was
any between the high 50s and like low 70s on some of these.
yeah, I was gonna say there was definitely like more like I want to say on average we were seeing like mid 60s and we're like the heck.
Yeah, and there
But
yeah, I was treating the default way of full moon to new moon, you buy, a new moon to full moon you sell, but there was a stipulation for the first quarter because like I've said before, the first quarter usually experiences a dip. So what I said was, okay, my only rule for the first quarter, I believe, was I actually didn't set a take profit. Usually, I don't remember what my reward was. It was like 1.5. I think it was two. It might have been two. But basically, for the first quarter, I said, okay, whenever the first quarter moon happens, I will place a sell, and wherever the stop loss makes sense, I put it there. And it was a timed take profit. So I would hold the trade for 24 hours. Once it hit like to reward, I believe personally, I would set a break even. And then from there, see if it runs. If it comes back, well, it's break even. But a lot of times it would just keep dipping. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But also on the same hand, a lot of times it would hit like something and then
yeah, I
go.
will bore you guys with this. Sorry, Jim, I'm gonna cut you off because you will talk forever about it, and they're like probably heads are already spinning about what you just like threw at them.
Yeah.
To wrap up what he just said for you guys, basically he's just saying that when he had like the moon, the zodiac sign, and like the planet, and like say all of them were bullish. All of them were the signs that like, hey, these are bullish ones. Then you would have three confluences, which is strongly suggesting that you should be looking for buys in that market, and then vice versa. All of them, there's signs, there's planets, and then there were moon phases that are associated with bearish markets. And if all three of those lined up at some point in time, then he would be looking for sells.
It's
And
basically
then there's like,
it's leading indicators. Think of it like instead of using fundamental analysis, and well, it's not saying that you have to use this or that. You can use everything, to be honest. But like let's say like I don't know, interest rates spike. So you could assume when an interest rates spike that price will go up for the currency because that usually it's the same thing with these signs. It's a
You're
leading
going to
indicator.
assume that that could happen. So
Yeah.
maybe that's like what you're being more on. Like, again, this isn't your entry reasons. Like, you would look for like taking it down, even if you want to go to a smaller time frame and use your actual strategy, but you would use it as your way of saying, like, I'm only going to take buys during this time frame, or I'm only going to look for sells during this time frame, instead of maybe using like an overall trend. Because during these times is what we would see is, especially when you had all three of them agreeing, you would start to see like that type of reversal situation happening. And that's where you're like, a lot of people are kind of getting confused because they're going with trend continuation, but we could see that big shift in that market
Yeah.
when we were looking at it. Again, not always 100%. And then there's
No.
also ones that will, like, you could be in a overall stronger bullish market with the moon phase, but have a you could be bullish, but then have a bearish planet day. And then like things kind of get mixed up. Sometimes we did see consolidation with it, which would make sense because you have
Yeah.
competing energies there. But other times it just like didn't matter. So we were just trying to present it to you, and he's trying to tell you guys like there's like energies and like to each of them, planets, signs, zodiac signs, as well as the moon, and each of them has like a bullish or a bearish or an in between. Some of them aren't really like, they kind of go both ways, where they kind of just kind of like
Yeah.
sit in there. So there's just like things that you sometimes could be more aware of, and we found it interesting is also there. Again, you could do just moons, you could use just planets, you could use just zodiacs, you could do all three, how we kind of like combine them together. But if you're interested in knowing more
Yeah,
about
it's
it, you
three.
definitely could.
It's basically just three main things. You could trade. You could look at trading the moon phases. So like buy during a full moon, the new moon, the full moon. You could look at the moon's zodiac sign, which kind of tells you what the moon is doing, or you can look at the planets and their zodiac signs. So it's kind of three different things. But yeah,
I think it's interesting when we talk about this because I am a Taurus and I
you're
have a bot.
bullish.
I'm bullish, which I'm total. I mean, it's a bull, so it like
You're a
makes sense
bull.
that you're bullish. But I actually have a like I'm better at knowing it now and I've identified it, but I have a weird like subconscious like draw, like I'm just very drawn to bullish markets. Like I have a bias to look for buys.
Come here,
And
Christy.
yeah,
I'm a bullish
I'm a
market.
bias like buyer versus seller. And I don't know, I was like, oh, when I saw that, I was like, that's weird. Maybe that's like my zodiac sign. I always
Yeah.
just thought it was because like when I started trading, everything just bought and nothing ever tanked. But
Yeah,
like
it never
I don't
goes
think
down
it's
until now.
yeah,
But
maybe now it's that
yeah, I
maybe it's
have
like some Taurus, who knows? Or
my dad.
do you have a bearish bias? Because you're a bearish sign. So do you like
I
when you're
just
trading, do you like tend to look for one thing more than another? Do you notice that?
I do think that cells look better. Like weird
Mm.
enough, cells just make more sense. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like
Like
cells
when you
make more
started
sense to
trading, were
me.
you like always getting in sells and people like, why are you trying to sell there? You should be buying. You're like, I don't know.
I
I
didn't
just like
know.
to
No,
sell.
I had no. I
You didn't
had like no
identify
clue.
it.
No, I literally was so mechanical the first time I started trading where like I just didn't want myself to think because I knew if
Um,
I didn't know anything. So me thinking in the markets was just gonna like be a detriment to me. So
yeah. All right. Yeah, you're no fun. All right. So let's move on.
so I had told my dad about this that I was doing that, and my dad loves scouring Forex Factory forums and just like looking at what people do. And so
Papa J didn't think you were
he
crazy.
actually
He wasn't like, huh,
no,
okay.
no, he doesn't think I'm crazy. He doesn't do it, but he doesn't think I'm crazy. So he gave
Mm.
me he literally sent me an email. He's like, check your email. I'm like, check my email. He sent me a picture that I printed of there's a guy that actually traded Euro USD on the 4 hour using planetary cycles. And so
Mm.
he's been trading it since January of this year, so January of 22, and then my dad
Okay.
had given this to a little while back. So like he had from January 1st to September 30th of this year, and he's collected 2,900 pips so far.
Mm.
But
Wow.
it is a little dangerous because whenever I cross-checked what this dude was doing, he was not using stop losses.
No.
He literally just bought and sold on the swing days. So basically what this guy was doing, he was just using the moon and the zodiac signs. So he was using he'd buy when the moon would go into Sagittarius, which is debatably whenever the bullish zodiac signs kind of like stack on each other to where you could like potentially buy and hold. And then he would sell when the moon was in Gemini, which is like the first bearish moon sign, which can like lead to more downwards pressure. And basically, each swing was like 14 days. So he would buy on Sagittarius, hold that trade for, doesn't matter if it went up or down, and he would close on Gemini and then open a sell on Gemini that same day. So like he was literally just swing trading
Flipping. Yeah.
with the
Okay.
zodiac signs.
Well,
I thought it was interesting, and so I looked at it and I threw like a little ATR stop loss on it. It wasn't as good as him, but I was like, it's still like it was still in the 50s. It was still 50%.
wow, really?
So yeah,
But
it was there was money to be made. It wasn't like 2,900 pips that he had, but I was like, okay, I mean, some of these trades are like -3, and I looked a negative like 300 pips, but he didn't really explain in risk. He was just saying like this is how many pips you could get. So it's however it's almost like he was like futures trading it at that point, where it wasn't like I made this much percentage. It was like you get this many points, whatever you want to like make that out to money wise, like whatever you want to risk money wise per pip that you get, like that's what it would be. But I looked today actually, and right now it was Gemini on like the 16th of this month, 15th or
okay.
16th. So he would have sold, and Sagittarius is coming up like on the 30th or 31st, I believe.
Today is Halloween, remember? They don't
Oh
know
yeah,
that, Jay.
today's Halloween. Well,
No, no. So
they saw when I share my
so
screen.
we're technically recording it a little bit earlier, even though it's technically Halloween when you
I
guys
have to
are
go.
watching this.
I'm
So
going on
you're messing
vacation, so
Jay.
that's
Yeah.
why. Yeah.
You guys, sorry, Jay. Might be messing you guys up when they go and check it. They're like, "What's he talking about?" No, so we're recording this a little bit earlier. So today's technically the 26th.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
So
confuse you. But if you're going back to look at the moon things and trying to match it all up, it's the 26th. So whatever it was on Wednesday, that's what we're
yes.
talking. That's he's talking about. But you guys are watching this on the 31st. So you
Yeah.
might be
So
Sagittarius now.
I think it's Sagittarius or it was the day before. I don't remember. But I mean, at this point, he's like down -300 pips. I'm like,
Ooh.
that's not a yeah. Like he sold right here, and then it's EU's
yeah.
just going like straight up. But I thought it was
Ooh.
kind of interesting because he's really like not. It's almost like he's not even trading at that point. He's just like, oh, what's the
Yeah.
moon at? All right, let me buy.
So I'm
Let me
not
sell.
against this idea. Like I said,
It's interesting. It's
I
interesting.
like it because it is interesting. It's so I'll be honest, it's very bizarre to me. Like it's so different than anything you're taught in trading.
Yeah.
So like my mind has like a hard time wrapping it around that. Like I love the astrology stuff. Like I think it's fun. I love my horoscope. I like knowing, like reading that stuff. Like I'm totally into that stuff. Like I definitely think that's fun. But I don't think of that and then think of like, let me apply it to trading. Like it doesn't, the two worlds, like it's like two different parts of my brain.
Yeah.
Like if you were trying to tell like a left brained person like something that a right brain, like you just don't get it. So it does like for me, I have this really hard time of like seeing how they overlap. And Jay was like, is so persistent on like explaining this to
I
me
was
where
like,
and
you're
I was
gonna
like,
understand this.
he's like, you're gonna love it. Like you're gonna, and I'm like, ah. So for me personally, like I could never do what that guy did, like what you're talking about. Like that would just like crush my soul to just like not even have any analysis
Yeah.
behind it. But I mean, I give him credit for doing it to even go out
It's
there
the
and try
four
and do it.
hour though, so it's like it's a time frame where you can kind of lax
Like
off, but like
I don't
not
know. You can
that
take
lax
four
off.
hours. 4 hour can be so good with like some analysis and so easy. Anyway, this is totally different.
Yeah,
But
but Chris, that's so smart logical. Why would you ever do that?
I think
But just
that
kind of wrap up, yeah, to kind of wrap up like the scientific journey that I went through. We will link in the description down below the lunar calendar where like I've said before, like where you can see the full moon, the first quarter, third quarter, new moon, as well as what zodiac sign it is during that phase. You can literally like it gives you a year in advance, which is really cool. That's what I honestly personally liked about astrology is the simple fact that although it will take a lot of work for me to mark up, I can literally go through the planet phases or like the planet cycles in the zodiacs and the moon stuff like in a weekend and
yeah,
know like what potentially could be my bias in the next year,
coming
which
up,
which is
yeah.
cool. So it's like it's not like every single Sunday where I have to like mark like okay, let me make sure my trends everything. It's like you can literally take one weekend or like 1 week and just like hammer this out and be like, all right,
Make like a
this
whole
is what
calendar,
this is
and you
potentially
just
what.
know.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like this could potentially be what the whole year has to offer. And so
Yeah, it
not
is an
guarantee, guys,
interesting.
is a concept like we keep
Yeah,
saying.
I like. Yeah, that's how
And
I
also, yeah,
like it as a concept.
with the
Like,
planets that will be linked down below too. It'll show what happened, like what
yeah.
events. I'll show it soon.
So we're not suggesting do what that guy did. Please don't go
No,
and do that.
at
Don't just
least
like
test
load
it
that
before.
indicator and like not use a
Put a
stop
stop
loss or
loss.
anything.
Yeah, put a
Like,
stop loss on it.
again, the concept of it, the idea of it, honestly, like I
Kind of
can't
cool.
sit here and knock it because we tested it. And that's like I wish we could. Like, you don't know how bad we wanted to like disprove this and like make a meme type of thing out of it.
I went from like a
And
hater to kind of a believer.
like hardcore, he went hardcore believer. But
Hey,
this has been,
I'm
I
gonna
mean, Jay, when did we do this? Like well over a year ago, we
yeah, it
started
was
looking at this, and
yeah.
we've kind of, like I said, we've been kind of following it up. Not that we actually use it. Neither of us have
No, I
actually
don't really use
applied
it.
it to our live trading. I don't think either of us are ballsy enough yet to do that. Maybe like as a
Maybe in
fun,
the
like
future. Yeah, maybe we could do a
maybe we'll
live or
do
something
like
about it.
a rant in the new year. We're busy this year. The rest of this year is pretty
Yes.
full, but maybe
Yeah.
the new year we'll like take 1 month and we'll just like apply the concept for fun to like show you guys how it works out. I would be interested to see how it works. But yeah, there are definitely people who really do use this style trading. Most of them are on the higher time frames, just to be clear about that.
Mhm.
And they look at like a few different aspects, like, so we're just kind of presenting to you a bunch of different like ways that some people do it. So if you're going to look further into detail about this, you might find that
Yeah.
some people are using like just one, just the other. Some people are using mixes. Some people might not use anything we just talked about and talk about, I don't know, something else, because there's so much stuff out there. But yeah, there's definitely some really cool stuff. So if you guys are interested, check out the links that we're linking below for you guys.
Let's
And then
us move on to some fun stuff again. So this is the stuff that I
I think
found
it's fun. Yeah.
that Christy actually really enjoys. And we've
Yeah.
shared this before in the Discord. But
Mhm.
what I'm gonna do now is share my screen again. Sorry for those listening on Spotify or such, but I will explain what we're looking at. That way you kind of have
This is
a
also going to be linked below for you
yes,
guys. So this is like, if you're looking in the links, this is going to be the one that says like trading the Zodiac and like trade your horoscope. That's what
yes.
we're showing on the screen.
And so what this is the fact that it's kind of interesting. So whatever zodiac that you are, and I'll also be
Actually, you
going
know
over that
what?
soon.
I was going
I'll
to
be
say
going over
you
that
should
after, or do you want me to
check
do that
your,
before?
well, yeah, I was going to say if this one gave the dates it would be nice, but this one actually doesn't give the dates. So you have to know your zodiac sign. So if you guys don't know what that is, then you have to look it up, and basically all you have to do is like know your birth date and then find out like when does your birthday and month fall in like whatever they say for the zodiac.
Yeah.
So you guys can see that, and
Yeah,
Jay's gonna pull it up for you, I think,
we're
now.
gonna pull it up after this. I'm kind of going in
Oh,
reverse
okay,
order,
never mind.
but
All right, Jay's going to
um
reverse order. If you don't know your sign, you have to find it out. You like a quick Google search, type in your
no,
birthday, and
yeah,
say
no,
what
we
zodiac sign am I?
there's actually a website that I have here for y'all that we're gonna link below as
Okay.
well, where you just literally just put a fake name, like they ask for a name. I just put like Stonk Lord in there and put your date, and if you know your time that you were born, that's really good too, because that kind of helps, that affects like the degrees of certain houses, but I'll get into that soon.
Sorry to everybody's mom and dad getting that random text like, "Mom, dad, what time
Yeah,
was I born?"
yeah, I definitely did that. I was a noon baby, but anywho, so what this website actually is that we're looking at is it tells you what type of trader you could potentially be depending on what your zodiac sign is. So for Christy, she's a Taurus. So
I
what
am.
I'll actually read the Taurus one. So even in a bear market, the bull, aka the Taurus, is able to hunt down the best bull trades available. Taurus thinks in terms of I possess, which tends to exhibit itself as a caretaker of all in its possession. The bull likes to join the community and especially drawn to social trading, TTF,
It's
and
true.
forums where it could be found shepherding other traders.
It's
Bulls
true.
are dependable, but also headstrong. Once a decision is made, it is carried out. Not that is not false, guys.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
true.
Say that Taurus is especially good at money management and sticking with the trading system. Well, I mean, you wouldn't be successful if you hadn't
Yeah.
stuck with it. My advice to you, Christy, aka
Taurus to
Taurus.
Tauruses, yeah.
Focus on your system and money management rules. Trade when the signals are good, then sit back and watch your profits roll in.
So I read this and I was like, oh man, that's like pretty spot
Yeah.
on for me. There is another one that will tell you your weaknesses, but I don't want to like jump around too much. But even like when the other one, when we were looking into things as to like what your potential weaknesses could be, like that was even spot on for me. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I was like, oh, all right. But then I was like, this is still so generic and general. Like you could write that for anybody.
Yeah.
Then we read Jay's because he is a little crab, a little Cancer
I'm a
crab.
Cancer. And so
And I was like, oh man, this is pretty it's kind of true. So you guys let us know. Jay's gonna read his, but if you
yeah.
guys do go to this and you like let us know in the community or whatever if you have fun doing this and like send us your signs in like the chats and let us know.
Yeah.
Don't like DM me, put them in the chat so that like somebody matches. Well, just so if somebody matches your sign too, so they can be like, oh, that's my sign too. But let us know if that's like it fits your description because I'm always curious to be like, hey, does this really like make sense for other people? But all right, go ahead, Jay. Let's find out what a Cancer is like.
Yeah, so basically what Cancers are is Cancers think in terms of I nurture and spend a lot of time allowing traits to develop. The ability to patiently sit and wait for a signal is strongest under the sign. Even non-Cancers can benefit from this trait while the Earth is in the sign of Cancer, which is early summertime. Cancers can be great traders because of their instincts, which are rarely wrong. The trouble most of Cancers face is understanding what their intuition is telling them. Cancer also tends to be overreactive, which can lead to unnecessary losses. Get a grip on yourself, you old crab. Trust the trend and trust your trades. Don't react to every piece of news. Let the overall picture direct you. That is why
So
I created a completely mechanical system for myself at the beginning because
yeah.
I was very reactive to the markets. I will not lie about that. So I knew
Mm.
I didn't know I didn't read this paragraph be like, "Oh my God, that's why, that's me." But
No.
it was kind
We
of
read this
interesting.
afterwards. So.
Yeah, I read this like a year or two afterwards. But
I
it
had
was
already
just
known Jay a little bit too, and like how he was with like developing as like a newer. He's to me he's newer. He's not new now, but to me you're a younger trader still. And like when I had, and you know what, 2 years or something, almost 2 years ago now or whatever, when I met you, like I don't even know how long I met you. Anyway, when I met you back in the day, and he was like talking about his trading system and stuff, and I thought, oh, this is so well structured. Like it literally was so mechanical and then I watched him actually placing trades or like having to place trades. And I was like, no wonder you have to be so mechanical because like his reactiveness, where like there was just this like, I don't want to say uncertainty because like it's like he knew what it was supposed to do, but like I
I
want to
didn't
say
want
that
to wait for it.
I think your problem is a watcher, like which is a very common problem for a lot of traders. Was like if you're watching, you're like maybe no wait is that a divergence or is this or this that, but like your overall analysis was right, like, and it was usually right, and you knew it. That like that's why he was like to get rid of any doubt like that and just do a system that like I
Yeah.
can count on. And I thought it was like man when we read this I was like that was totally you, like that's you
Yeah.
as a
Well, it's
trader.
just the fact
So
that it
funny.
was even more frustrating for me is because, like Christy had said, I do my analysis right, but like I just couldn't like hold the trade. It was actually
Yeah.
ridiculous how many times I would win or potentially would have won, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, I was like, damn,
Jay had
I
like
suck, I
we
suck.
all do the shoulda coulda wouldas, but Jay like had a lot of shoulda coulda wouldas, and we're like that was your plan though,
Yeah,
like that was your trading plan. And then I'd be like,
yeah,
oh, now I see why you have like a certain thing. But I, you know, big props for him for learning it pretty early on to be
yeah,
like, no, I know where I struggle. And it was just really like interesting when we started like going through the horoscope stuff. We're like, oh yeah, the
so
struggles and the things that we're good at, like they lined
yeah,
up with
so
us.
on this website, it has all the rest of the zodiac signs. If you might not be Taurus or Cancer, I mean that's okay. I think Leos are
You can
pretty
be
good.
you can be other signs too,
Yeah,
guys.
you could be other signs, but like Taurus and Cancers are like where it's at though. But yeah, that's that. Also, before I go into the next thing, what I'll say is the lunar, like this is what you'll see. Sorry if you're all listening on audio land again, but this is what you'll see if you go to the lunar calendar. You'll have to switch to 2022. But as you can see here, you can see Sagittarius, you can see the moon zodiac signs, and you can also see that on like January the 2nd of 2022, there was a new moon. The 9th was the first quarter. There was a full moon on the 17th, and it was also Cancer. like which is bearish. So like this gives you an idea of like the layout, and it continues this layout the entire time, which is really cool.
Yeah.
As well as the planets and their events. As you can see here, Aquarius, like the sun enters Aquarius. Just for like a quick example, so the sun, which I've said before is bullish, and it enters Aries, which is bullish on March 20th. So you from March 20th, you could basically use the planet zodiacs as okay, this is a good time to potentially buy. And then the sun enters Taurus, which is still bullish. So even April 20th, like from March up until May, you're basically looking for potential buys if you're just looking strictly off of planets. But that's kind of how I read the planets. Until the next event happens, I just kind of assume like, okay, it's going to stay this way.
Yeah.
But those are those two websites that we'll show. And the last website that we're going to show, which I kind of went in reverse order, is figuring out what your sign is. And so the last link that we'll send is what's called a birth natal chart. And
Yeah.
what this basically is, it tells you what your birth sign is. So whatever you put after you submit, whatever's to the right of the sun is your sign, is your birth sign. So like for me, I'm Cancer. Like for this, when Christy puts her stuff, it'll say Taurus. And then on the side of that is your ascendant sign, which means your rising sign. Basically, this is what people can determine as like your personality and like how you present yourself. So a lot of times people kind of think your ascendant sign is your actual sign besides your birth sign. But that doesn't we
It's
don't
going deep into this. So
yeah.
this has nothing to do with actual trading, but we're just telling you guys like how you can find your sign. But if you like horoscope stuff and you want to know more about this and you've never looked up your like birth natal chart, have fun because this is like this will go
it's
super
actually super cool. And what's cool about
like
this is
really
they
detailed.
have you can click each thing and it'll give you like the description of what ascendant is, aka like a rising sign. And then here, if you open up your chart wheel, this is what normally is shown whenever you ask for a birth natal chart, and it is just too many zigzags.
It's a lot, guys. You don't need to know all this.
No.
Like I'm saying, this is just for fun for you guys. Like,
This
if
is
you want
for
to know
fun.
more about your own personalities and like they get down to like they'll ask you your birth time, and it's because like they're getting down to like
certain degrees.
where
It affects certain degrees of it.
Like
if
not
you're
just
if
saying
you're
like, oh, you're
if you're
Taurus
on
or
the
you're
edge,
Cancer.
like for example, like around like the houses, the numbers are the houses, and the outside is the zodiac signs. But like the houses will rotate, and so like for me, I think this pitchfork is Neptune. But like basically, if I don't know, if I was born a couple hours before or later, it could flip into house 5 instead of 4. So it just depends if you have things kind of on the edge.
Mm.
But what's interesting about the houses is this is something that y'all can actually look at to discuss is just go to house positions. Certain house positions mean certain things. Where house 10, well, we could just look at it. It gives you the definition. So house 10 rules your career, social standing, and life path. It reveals what kind of job you'd excel and how your community perceives you. Planets in this house affect authority, figures, public image, and career success. While the sun rules personality, ego, self-esteem, leadership, and public recognition. So what it says for me, since the sun is in the 10th house, which, as you can see here, the sun is the little circle with the dot in the middle. So it's in the 10th house. What that means is I potentially, and this is not, you will find that some of this doesn't make sense, but a lot of it, like you'd be like, okay, that kind of is me, but like not, I can't, not 100% will this be you, but I guess I sometimes base my ego and self-esteem on whether or not I'm achieving goals, which can't be true. Ambitious and driven to succeed,
I would say that
prefer to be their own boss, enjoy being recognized by the public, take pride in their competence and achievements, want recognitions for the work, and as seen as leaders in the public eyes and can inspire others.
Jay's gonna keep talking over me, but anyway, so I would say if you guys are gonna go this deep, you're gonna go into your birth natal and you really want to do it, it is probably a better idea if you have somebody who really knows you. Like if you want to do this and go through all your houses, have somebody who really knows you to like, and you just do it together, because you might read something and be like, that's not me. And they're like, that's you. Because
So
Jay
you're
did
like,
that.
it's like, this isn't
Jay was
me, and
like
it's like,
reading his. He's like, I
that's
mean,
you.
some of this stuff's like not true, but I mean, well, and I was like, that's all 100% you, boo boo. Like, sorry to make you upset if you don't think these things, but that's factual. But it was vice versa. You know, it was played back on
Yeah,
me
even
when I
Christie's
was like, oh,
stubborn Taurus ass
yeah,
was like, oh, I'm
that's
not
not
that.
true.
I'm like, you were
Yeah, you
stubborn
are.
as shit. I was like, you
No,
were
I'm
stubborn and
stubborn.
headstrong
Oh,
as hell. I was
definitely, I'm
like,
definitely a stubborn person. I 100% agree with that.
opinions will not change. I was like, whenever I was
Never.
reading that, I'm like, oh my god, this is so perfect. And Chris is like, oh,
Yeah.
not me.
No, not that part. I agree. I'm headstrong, and it takes a lot to sway my opinion on something. I will respect somebody else's opinion, but I will agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Like, and then we just move on. Like, I'm not gonna hold grudges over that. But I am definitely headstrong for sure, and I do hold grudges. Like, I definitely am somebody who does not like. I'll forgive you, but I don't forget. Like, I'm that person, and I'll like always bring it up later on. so
Yeah.
so like typical woman where it's like, I remember, and in 20 years, like, you know, when you did something to cross me, I'll be like, that one time. And you're like, I thought you forgave me. Like, no, no, no. I
She's
forgave, I
actually done
didn't
that to me
forget.
before on
Yeah,
some
yeah,
random stuff too. She's like, I didn't forget about this. I'm
I
like,
didn't
why?
forget.
Why do you still care? Like, it doesn't matter anymore. It's like, I don't forget.
And I say it in the creepy voice where I'm like, I didn't forget. I
And I'm
didn't
like,
forget. And he's like,
and then I'm just
well,
like, okay, pal.
but no, and then the, yeah,
Anyway,
but I know my flaws. So anyway, it is fun to do. And I think that it's kind of enlightening to look at. That actually doesn't have too much to do with the actual trading aspect. But if
no,
you want to
no,
find
we just
out
wanted
who
to end on
you,
like a fun thing, just like to figure out like
yeah,
who you like in case
who
you
are
don't
you?
know, in case you don't know what kind of trader you potentially are. Because honestly, like that website that we had shown just now, about like what trader you potentially are with your zodiac, it makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Yeah,
It might not be 100% to the T, but it gives
no,
you kind of a general assumption of like, okay, what can I expect? Because for me, I'm I for Cancer, like I could patiently wait for a signal, and so like I might not be like willing to. I might not feel like scalping on the 1 minute because I'm like, why? What are all these signals? Like I don't mind waiting for that one good quality setup, while other
yeah,
people might just like maybe your sign could be. I didn't really read all the other 10 signs, but it could be the simple fact that maybe you're not good at being patient, and so you're trying to maybe trade the 1 hour when you could probably or well, you should be probably trading maybe the 1 in 5 minute. So like
yeah.
it's kind of interesting things like that. Just kind of getting an understanding of who you could potentially be, not like who you are, because this won't tell you who you are. Like you're your own person, but
Yeah.
it is weird how things do line up. And I did this
Mhm.
with, like with my sister. I did this with my parents. I was like, when were you born? And my sister's like, what are you talking about?
It's
But
so funny. Like, yeah, people are like, what? But
she's
yeah, I
like,
mean,
she's like,
I
you
think
know
it,
when I was born? I was like, no, like what time were you born? She's like, how am I supposed to? I was like, it's like, that's mom. That's a mom question.
yeah, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, this is meant to just be fun for you guys for Halloween. The other thing I would say about it is that, like, knowing like your style kind of helps a little bit. Like for me, I know I'm a very patient trader, and I know I like an analytic. I know I'm good with risk management. And then you know, obviously like Cancers and Tauruses get along because we have very similar qualities when we were reading our description. So kind of taking it back to last week's podcast where it's like, if you are like looking for a trading buddy or something like that, maybe knowing, I don't want you guys to be
Oh
like, what's your
God,
sign? What's your sign?
don't be
But
like those
some
girls.
don't be like that hardcore about it. But sometimes it's like knowing like if they're like if you're totally different as far as like what your weaknesses are and somebody else's strengths are or whatever, like it might be like that you just might like just not be the same similar style as far as like your trading goes or personalities or something. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it was like interesting the more we were like learning about it. We're like, oh, this makes sense why we work better with certain style traders or certain people, or like you know, just how people kind of view the markets. And, you know, that could just be total coincidence, but it was just kind of fun to do. So if you guys are looking for something fun to do on Halloween and kind of like, you know, make it a little more themed of a holiday for you, you can want to fall down the lake horoscope vibes, then have fun with it, you guys.
True.
So yeah, all the links are below. If you guys have questions, as always, you could ask us in the Discord. But again, this is not like an official strategy that we are showing you.
It's just a fun
Potentially,
concept that I've been hinting at
yeah,
for the longest time, and
yeah.
people have been like,
Hopefully
please,
this will like
this will
nip
simmer it
it for
down. Yeah.
him. Yeah, it's like he's gotten it out now. He's been able to talk about moon cycles for like the last hour. So I'm
In a
hoping this is
kangaroo
good.
outfit.
In a kangaroo outfit, which is amazing. I would love to see your trick-or-treating pics. So make sure you share them with the community with your little baby kanga. Once you name it, let us know too. Don't name it now on the spot. It's too much pressure. You can't pick a name
Well,
like
it's not
that.
really much pressure, but like I don't wanna do a bad name.
Yeah, well, we'll think it through. But anyway, happy Halloween, you guys. We will see you guys next week. And to everybody who's starting Strategy Wars tomorrow, which is exciting because Strategy Wars does officially start tomorrow. So if you had not signed up yet, this is my like last and final plug for it. And don't say I didn't warn you. I'm warning you the last time today.
Yeah,
It
signups end
closes tonight, like by close of
New Year.
market.
Well, yeah, New York
New Year.
session.
No, no New Year, guys.
No,
Today.
New York session.
At the
It
end of close,
closes.
yeah, close of New York session.
I don't want to be
Signups are
getting any
done.
DMs. Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
see it. We've blasted this
Yeah.
everywhere.
So if you
Look at my
guys
eyes. Look at them. Okay. Look at
if
them.
you guys are not in yet, please do go
I
sign
see.
up. The form is it's pinned in the battlefield. So you guys can find it. It's pinned in there. And please do make sure that you sign up before close of market. And to all those who are competing in it, good luck. Best of wishes for you guys for season 2. And we'll see you on the battlefield. I feel like I want to end it that way. Like we'll see you on the battlefield, but we'll also see those of you who are not competing next week for the podcast. I think that's it. Jay, you want to do your like goodbye speech that you do?
Yeah, guys, look into my kangaroo eyes. Make sure you follow the make sure you follow the podcast for sure.
You don't even know it.
Make sure,
yeah.
Oh, God, kangaroos don't know how to self promo, Chris. It's crazy. No, but make sure you I'm pretty sure Spotify allows you to star podcasts now. So make sure you give us some 5 stars if you like this kangaroo outfit, because I know this kangaroo outfit is hot. It's hot for me.
This one might only get 1 star because
I'm
of the
sweating.
topic.
But if you're on YouTube, please feel free to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. Let us know in the Discord what y'all like, maybe what y'all want to see soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, other than that,
yeah, share your Halloween
safe.
pictures in the Discord
Happy
if you
Halloween.
guys are doing it today. If you guys have your little ones dressing up, or you dress up still, you're never too old. Make sure you guys are sharing your pictures with us because, like I said, I'm a sucker for these things, and I love to see like the personal side of people's lives.
If your dogs or your cats dress up, Chris,
oh my God,
freak out.
If your pets are dressed up, share them. I will share back. All right, you guys, for real, have a great holiday, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Halloween.
Bye.